Hello everyone, Mr. Happy here, and today I want to give you guys my thoughts on the latest additions to the Black Mage coming in Final Fantasy XIV's first expansion, Heavensward. These new abilities were revealed at the Live Letter 21, and if you want the information on that, you could just go to the description of the video where you can find the official digest from Square Enix's official forums for Final Fantasy XIV. Now, Black Mage was the job they showed off the most. Yoshi P actually hit a dummy with some of these new abilities live for a little bit. So it's definitely the one we know the most about, and honestly, it's one of the ones that I was most impressed to see the changes. We don't know everything about it yet, but I'm going to give you my thoughts on what we know so far. I would like to state that they are my thoughts and opinions, so feel free to disagree and discuss these new abilities in the comment section of the video below. So without further ado, let's jump right into the new Black Mage abilities for 3.0. So the first new ability we're going to be talking about for the Black Mage is their new self-buff, Ley Lines. Now, I have been calling this Elemental Seal since we first saw it, like, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago, but the official name is now Ley Lines. It is a seal that you place on the ground that puts a self-buff on the Black Mage as long as you stand in it. That gives you 15% more spell speed. Now, there are a few rules to this thing. One, it is a self-buff. Even though it's placed on the ground and everyone can see it, only the Black Mage can benefit from it. So you're not going to have white mages running over to get the 15% spell speed and drawing all those AoEs towards you. You don't need to worry about getting claustrophobic in that circle. It's just for you. Two, you can move while inside of the circle and still maintain the buff, but as soon as you leave the circle, you will lose the buff. So it really is for Black Mages that understand fights and know, I can buckle down in this spot for a long period of time and just output even more damage. So it's good to have another self buff because currently Raging Strikes and Swift Cast and Convert are really the only things you can consider an offensive buff, with Raging Strikes being the only direct offensive buff despite the way that Convert is used. I have a hard time considering it a buff. You know, it is an offensive cooldown, but to me it's not a buff. This is another buff similar along the lines of Raging Strike. So very happy to see Black Mages getting something like that in their own toolkit. That being said, it does have a drawback. Currently in development, meaning it's subject to change before the expansion launches, if you leave the circle, it disappears, which means that you'll have to wait till the cooldown comes back up before you can use it again. Now that might change, and I think Yoshi P really stressed that because I'm sure Yoshi P as a Black Mage main was like, man, I would really like it if that thing would stay there so I can move back to it. So we may end up seeing a more like, okay, this spot is good for 30 seconds, and if I leave it and come back, I can still get the buff. They may change it to that, but currently if you leave the Ley Lines, they will disappear. So you really want to know the fight well and know when you can utilize the Ley Lines safely. Don't forget, you do have Mana Wall and Mana Ward to help utilize it even safer, but in endgame raids, I'm not going to say stand in the AoEs. That's generally not a good thing. Get out of them, even if it means losing your Ley Lines. I guess there's not really too much thought-wise. It's good they're getting their own buff. It complements the current Black Mage playstyle, and just, that's all it is. It's a straight buff. It's just a new buff added to the Black Mages, and I'm glad that they're getting something outside of Raging Strikes. Let's say we move on to the next ability. Now, the next ability I have mixed thoughts about. So we have Surecast and Swift Cast right now. Black Mage is going to be getting a new type of cast ability, and it is the Sharp Cast. I would have much preferred Double Cast or Triple Cast. Come on, they got it. The guys got it in the Chrysalis. I would have killed for that on Black Mage. So Sharp Cast is a new ability that after using it, their next spell will give you a guaranteed proc. So that means that if you Sharp Cast Fire 1, you are guaranteed going to get a Firestarter proc. Or if you Sharp Cast Thunder, and this is confusing to me, you can Sharp Cast Thunder and get a Thundercloud proc. I'm curious how that works, because does that mean as soon as the Thunder ticks for the first time, you'll get a Thundercloud proc? And I guess, is that for like mobility? Is that for dotting up multiple targets? Would every tick of thunder give you a Thundercloud proc? Which would be ridiculous. Sharpcast would be unbelievably overpowered if that was the case. You would lose Astral Fire with all the Thundercloud procs you would be getting. It's good. It does help increase mobility. You know that you're going to need to move in a short time, so getting the Sharpcast Fire 1 into a Fire 3 will help with your mobility a little bit as a Black Mage, on top of outputting more damage occasionally if it's a low mobility fight, because the proc rates are already so high. Okay, let me say this. The Firestarter proc rate is already pretty high, so you're just kind of, it's like a 70% chance that you wouldn't have gotten that or something like that. So it may or may, because you don't know, you could have gotten a Firestarter proc on that cast anyway. And then you'd be like, well, damn, Sharpcast, what a waste, right? But you would never know that. So it is just increasing it to 100%. I'm curious mostly how this is going to work with Thunder. It's a cool ability, and it definitely has its uses. to me, it's just like, I want to know how it works with Thunder. I want more details on that because I want to know. It's so weird to me, the thought of using it on Thunder. It's either going to be super overpowered or super underwhelming. I have a feeling it's going to be really, really good with the way Black Mages are going to end up integrating it with Thunder. And I see maybe that happening a little bit more often than with Fire. I guess it depends. Just because Thunder has a much lower proc rate, it's something Black Mages take for granted. Like, oh my god, I got 2 Thundercloud procs this fight. That's so amazing. I'm curious. I'm really, really excited to see how it works. But I'm a bit skeptical, and I think they could have gotten something a little bit more interesting. Double. Technically, it's a double cast with the Fire 3 thing, but we'll move on anyway. Now, those 2 abilities are all, you know, good. They're new self buffs for the Black Mage, but you guys want to know about the 3rd self buff, don't you? That is right, the 3rd ability, Enochian, which is quite the ability. So they make it seem like at level, so they say literally at level 60 you learn Enochian, right? And when you have Enochian, it gives you a 30-second buff that as long as the buff is on, you gain access to Fire 4 and Blizzard 4 as new spells. Fire 4 is basically like Fire 3 with less MP and a lower cast time that you can use while in Astral Fire form. Keep in mind, you can only use these abilities while you're in the respective form for their element. So you can only use Fire 4 while in Astral Fire, and you can only use Blizzard 4 while in Umbral Ice. So the idea is going to be now to integrate Fire 4 and Blizzard 4 into your rotation somehow. Another detail about Fire 4, you know, just because it costs more MP than Fire 1, it does not actually refresh the effect of Astral Fire. So you need to integrate it into the rotation, but make sure that you don't lose your Astral Fire stacks by casting Fire 4 too many times in a row, which would completely throw off all of your DPS. It's going to be about learning exactly how many Fire 4s you can fit into an Astral Fire rotation while still maintaining the buff. I'd imagine it'd be something along the lines of Fire 4, Fire 4, Fire 1, Fire 4, Blizzard 3, or something like that. I don't know exactly how the MP values are going to fit in. I'm pretty sure that while in Astral Fire 3, that thing is like 3,000 MP, so it's probably not that many Fire 4s, despite considering that Black Mage has like 11k MP, by the way, at level 60. So regardless of how it's going to be integrated, that is how it's going to be integrated. Just, I don't know how many Fire 4s you're probably going to be casting. Maybe 2. Probably 2. So then when you switch over to Blizzard 3, you, to Umbral Ice 3, my apologies, you actually get access to Blizzard 4. Now, Blizzard 4, I'm sure you're wondering what this could possibly do, and no, it's not a placed bind like Freeze, no, it's not another slowing effect. It is actually an effect that extends the duration of Enochian. So whenever you cast Blizzard 4, it'll refresh the duration of it entirely, with one catch. It'll be 5 seconds less than the maximum duration every single time. So the first time you cast Blizzard 4, Enochian will be refreshed to 25 seconds. The second time you cast it, it'll be 20 seconds, then 15, 10, 5. So your goal is to extend the duration of Enochian so much to the point where it's basically up until Enochian is available as a buff again, and then you can just reuse it. It's going to be a big, big learning curve here for Black Mages to learn when is it too little? When is it not enough time for me to cast it again? The answer will probably be the 10-second window. I can't imagine you'd want to waste your time casting Blizzard 4 when you have 5 seconds, under 5 seconds left on Enochian, and you're only going to get another 5 seconds, unless that would mean one more Fire 4 cast, but I guess that's something that we'll just have to wait and see. Overall, it means brand new integrations into the Black Mage rotation. I was very kind of disappointed to hear nothing about Thunder or the Burst ability. Back in 1.0, Black Mages had the ability Burst, and while I didn't expect them to just straight up get the 1.0 abilities back on all the jobs that they lost, I was really surprised that Thunder hasn't been spoken about yet. I would like to stress that this is probably not all of the Black Mage abilities. If you don't learn Enochian to 60, that means Fire 4 and Blizzard 4 are useless. So you probably don't learn those before 60 either. So with Ley Lines and Sharpcast, I'd assume that means you learn 1 or 2 other abilities in the process of going from 50 to 60. I'm interested because that one of those could very easily be a new Thunder ability. One of those could very easily be a new buff. In fact, let's read this real quick. Let's just skim it over real quick. Optimal, depending on the content, the optimal skill rotation will vary, so please try various things out. You'll gradually learn all these elements as you progress from 50 through 59. Then at 60, when you learn Enochian, the way the job plays will be entirely different. Yeah, there's not really any mention of any other abilities for the Black Mage. I'm sure there are other ones out there, but overall, this should make Black Mage a little bit nicer to play. This is one of the few jobs where it seems like they didn't so much cover their weak points as much as they emphasize Black Mage's strong points of being a turret of damage. Sure, you have the sharp cast to make it so they can be a little bit more mobile, but it's not the be all end all. You know, it's not going to all of a sudden make Black Mage an ultra mobile job. I think the inclusion of Enochian as a new form of managing your Astral Fire and Umbral Ice and new uses in those forms is a good addition to the job. It's definitely something that needs to be tested. I'm curious about it. I'm mostly curious about all the new jobs, but Black Mage with the way they showed it is one that I am more curious about. This and Monk are really the ones I'm most curious about. The next few jobs we'll be talking about in these videos are the ones that I kind of saw a little bit more disappointment with. Ones that weren't exactly, at least to me, very thrilling or very interesting. I'm sure some of you guys already have those jobs planned out in your head, but Black Mage is not one of them. I think this is a great addition to the Black Mage. So let me know what you guys think in the description of the video below. Are you dreading trying to find room on your hotbar as Black Mages, or are you like, no, this is pretty cool? Let me know in the comment section of the video below, and be sure to discuss it with each other in a civil manner. But anyway, guys, be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share. I will see you guys in the next video. I also have some lore speculation videos coming up, so be on the lookout for those. But anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time, and until then, take care.